Gabriel Noronha has been tracking this. He's an executive director for Polaris National Security and a former State Department advisor on Iran. Gabriel, good to have you with us.
Thanks. Great to be here.
You tweeted, I thought, a very interesting and scary thread this weekend about what is going on in places like Houston, Texas. And it involves something called an Islamic Education Center. But you took great pains to point out this is not about Islam. It's not about Muslims broadly. It's about a specific kind of propaganda training program that is present in a number of cities in the country. Tell us what you found.
Yes, absolutely. So the Islamic Republic of Iran, for the last really 40 years, has operated these centers across the United States. And it's all about trying to get Muslims to swear allegiance to Iran's supreme leader, Ayatollah Khamenei. Again, this has nothing to do with Islam. They're trying to supplant it with this national loyalty. And one thing we saw at this Islamic Education Center in Houston is hundreds of children singing a song, pledging their loyalty to Qasem Soleimani, the former IRGC general, swearing loyalty to Khamenei, and promising to be their soldiers and martyrs.
Yes. In fact, I'm sorry. You said it was extremely concerning. I totally agree. And in fact, let me play the audio of what you just referenced. Here are hundreds of children, again, singing to Soleimani and Khamenei.
I will be your soldier. I'll be your supporter. Be your biggest lover. I promise to become like Mehdi. I will be your soldier. I will be your martyr. These are children in Houston, Texas, singing this?
Yes. And what's concerning is you have similar centers like this in Potomac, Maryland, in Manassas, Virginia, in Los Angeles, and maybe many other cities across America. This is just the one that posted some of these videos to their YouTube and Facebook channel. What's really concerning to me is also you look at the line of funding for these organizations, and it goes straight back to the Iranian regime. The Department of Justice about 15 years ago started trying to confiscate some of their property, some of their assets. But it's been a long time since we've actually seen law enforcement authorities taking this problem seriously, I think.
There's another video you shared in this thread this weekend, a little easier to hear, but equally as scary. This is a boy reading out pro-Iranian propaganda to an audience and condemning the very existence of Israel. Again, this is all happening in Houston, Texas.
May he sever the hands of those who wish to create dissension among the Muslim countries. Number 3, all must know that the superpowers' aim in creating Israel does not end the occupation of Palestine. They plan, heaven forbid, to extend the fate of Palestine to all Arab countries. Number 4, do not support Israel, this enemy of Islam and Arabs, for this listless viper will have no mercy on you, young or old, if it gets within your reach.
So the boy's saying that apparently Israel in this frame is going to conquer the entire Arab world. I've never heard Israel even suggest something like that.
It's absurd, but this is classic Iranian propaganda. They're trying, what they do is they call Israel the little Satan, and then they call America the great Satan, which tells you, again, their priorities here. Israel just happens to be closer and within their grasp. Again, this is not, again, I've gone to churches. This is not kind of readings you hear at churches. They also had a Boy Scout troop. I was an Eagle Scout. This is not the kind of thing that Scouts address. They don't talk about geopolitical issues, and they certainly don't talk about Jews in Israel being vipers. So again, it's more of a political project intended to indoctrinate the kids.
Yes.
But again, the problem is, what are the adults? If this is the kids, what are the adults doing and saying, which is indoctrinating these things?
Yeah. And, it's weird that they have a Boy Scout troop, because isn't it a part of the Scout oath that you pledge your duty to your God and country? Which country are they pledging their duty to?
Well, if you listen to the videos, you see that they're pledging allegiance to Iran and the Iranian government. I don't know why the Boy Scouts allowed them in. Presumably, they just weren't paying attention and
Yeah.
didn't do their research here.
They let girls in now, so I don't think they really have rules anymore. Let's talk about Iran and its influence here in this this war on Israel. There's still, even to this day, we're now over a week out, all of this hemming and hawing over whether Iran even played a role in the attack onto Israel, which I've been watching this and going, that's ridiculous. They fund all of the relevant terror groups that are now launching missiles and attacking Israel. What do you make of that?
Exactly. So it used to be that Iran supported Hamas with about $100 million a year. In the past year, because U.S. sanctions have been so lax, they actually increased that funding to $350 million per year. That's 93% of Hamas's budget. So they are responsible for every single thing that happens. Again, if you or I funded 93% of any organization's budget, you would know exactly what it's going to,
For sure.
And you'd be fully supportive of it. So yeah, the notion that they're not responsible is ridiculous. The question of did they plan, execute, and sign off on that, that's unclear from the intelligence we have. Personally, I think they did.
Okay,
That's
but they
my
also
view.
they have a controlling stake over what happens next, don't they? So I've seen the Iranians now signaling today that Hamas might be open to releasing the hostages, numbered at, according to the Israelis, 199 hostages, in exchange for Israel bringing an end to firing upon Gaza. Iran kind of in the driver's seat here, no?
That's exactly the Iranian MO for hostage diplomacy. And look, Hamas learned all of this from Iran. Iran has been taking hostages since their very founding. What we saw from Iran when I was negotiating hostage releases with them, they would say, we'll release all our hostages. You just have to release all your Iranian prisoners. Those prisoners would include mass murderers, terrorists, nuclear proliferators. And so there's no way we could do it. But what they do is they're really clever. They go to the media and they say, we're willing to release all hostages. That's propaganda. In this case, they're saying we will release them if Israel releases all 6,000 Hamas prisoners, who are all, again, terrorists. My view is we should have three principles here. No money for those hostages, no policy concessions for those hostages, and to the extent possible, we shouldn't allow any terrorists to be able to go back to the battlefield.
Do you believe that Hamas's decision to, I think you basically said as much just a moment ago, but do you think that their decision to take hostages here was motivated by Joe Biden's recent decision to not only release Iranian prisoners, but also to give the Iranians $6 billion? I think the clear signal is that the West does respond to hostage taking, and Joe Biden is evidence of it.
So I don't normally like to speculate, and in this case, I don't have to speculate because Hamas's political representative went on TV, in Russian TV on Sunday, and said, "Hey, look, the United States made an agreement with Iran on hostages. They'll make an agreement with us." And so you have it straight from their mouth saying they believe they can get a deal out of this.
It's just wild to see. The Hamas took all these hostages. We mentioned the number 199. Israel is trying to figure out how to conduct this war against Hamas as they fight back in reaction to the terrorist attack. How difficult is it to strike Hamas while simultaneously trying to keep your own people safe?
It's extremely hard. As most people know, Hamas has created terror tunnels all underground under Gaza City, other parts of the Gaza Strip, and they're going to be likely booby-trapped either with explosives or they'll be used that they'll put the hostages to military targets. They're basically inviting and trying to get them killed because they want to say, hey, look, you struck this hospital and now an Israeli citizen is dead. Of course, those hospitals are actually where they put the Hamas headquarters in. It is going to be extremely difficult for Israeli and U.S. commandos or anyone in the national security apparatus to get any of those hostages alive. I'm a big critic of the Biden administration. I will be very clear here. I will not blame them. I don't think any of us should blame them if these hostages are killed The moment Hamas took them, they were willing to execute them, and they said that they would try to do so on live TV. It's really sad, but this is unfortunately where we are.
It is deeply unfortunate. So Israel's been giving the people of Gaza a warning now for over a week that they've got all sorts of incoming, and they'd like the civilians to clear the area as they conduct this counterstrike on Hamas. That said, everyone seems to be shutting down their borders here. Hamas is urging people to stay in place to ignore the Israeli warnings. Egypt is not taking anybody in from Gaza. What is going on here? Why isn't the Arab world more accommodating to the residents of Gaza if they want to protect them?
I mean, my view is countries like Qatar and Turkey should take in these refugees themselves. That's my view. Their position, however, is, look, this is their valid land. They should be able to stay there. That's fair, but you can't have them in active combat zones. One analogy I like to look at is what happened when in 2015 when we were trying to take out ISIS from the Iraqi city of Mosul. The counter-ISIS coalition was there for over 100 days trying to do counterterrorism operations to extract ISIS from the city. Look, at the end of the day, most of Mosul was destroyed. There were enormous civilian casualties. And the international community did everything it could to solve the problem, but we resolved we would not allow ISIS to threaten the international community and continue its mayhem across the region. You never saw European countries, you never saw the UN call for de-escalation, you never saw them condemn the counter-ISIS coalition. But what we're seeing here with Israel is before they've even gotten in, you're seeing these cries of outrage. It's a completely double standard when it comes to Israel and it comes to those countries trying to destroy ISIS.
It's too bad. It's too insane. I'm glad you're able to track all of it. Gabriel Noronha over at Polaris National Security. Thank you very much for your time today, sir.